Hello students, today I'm going to explain uh, page 19 of your chapter 2, long walk to freedom. A few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe of a spectacular area of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carriers roared in perfect formation over the Union buildings. Now, after oath-taking ceremony, Nelson Mandela, his cabinet ministers, and all the world leaders, they lifted their eyes in amazement, or is amazement, to see a beautiful area, beautiful line, or beautiful arrangement of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carriers, right? So all these were hovering over the Union buildings to show their respect to the newly formed government, right? What are Union buildings? Union buildings basically house the offices of the President of South Africa. Moving on, it was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force, but a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy, to a new government that had been freely and fairly elected, right? So, uh, here, the air show was not merely to showcase the strength and precision of the military force, but it also symbolized the military's loyalty, commitment to democracy, and to the newly formed democratic government of South Africa, right? Only moments before. So here in this line, mentioned Nelson Mandela is getting a little nostalgic in this paragraph. Let's see. Only moments before, the highest generals of the South African Defense Force and police, their chests bedecked with ribbons and medals from days gone by, saluted me and pledged their loyalty. So here, bedecked means decorated. So now, his Nelson Mandela is recalling his past days, right? Now he's saying that, let me read this. I was not unmindful of the fact that not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me. Now here, Nelson Mandela is recalling those days when he was behind the bars, right? And today, the South African Defense Force and police, who are bedecked with medals from the days gone by, today they are saluting Nelson Mandela. But the same people would have arrested Nelson Mandela not very long ago when the apartheid policy was in practice and when the country was under the rule of white people, right? Finally, a chevron of Impala jets left a smoke trail of the black, red, green, blue, and gold of the new South African flag. Finally, Impala jets created a pattern in the shape of a V, right? And what came out? The smoke trail of Impala jets symbolized here the national flag of South Africa. How? Because Impala jets left a small trail of black, red, green, blue, and gold. And all these colors are part of the new South African flag. Clear? Now, the day was symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems. Now, another significant point that Mandela is making here, that on this day, two national anthems were sung. And two national anthems symbolize here equality of rights, right? Equal rights to everyone, irrespective of color, gender, and race, right? Here, the vision of white singing OCCKLL Africa. So the white people were singing OCCKL Africa and the black singing Die Stand, the old anthem of the Republic. So here, on this day, the African people sang English anthem, whereas English people sang African anthem, right? Although that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem they once despised. So here Nelson Mandela is saying, but on that day, neither of the two knew the lyrics of the anthem that they once despised. But he is very hopeful. He is very hopeful in the sense that he is writing further. They would soon know the words by heart. Very soon they are going to learn the lyrics by heart. Moving on the day of the inauguration, I was overwhelmed with a sense of history. So on this day, Nelson Mandela got overwhelmed and he started recalling the history in the first decades of 20th century in 1901 to 1910. That is the first decade of 20th century. A few years after the bitter Anglo-Boer War and before my birth, the white-skinned peoples of South Africa patched up their differences and erected a system of racial domination against the dark-skinned peoples of their homeland. Now, let's understand the Anglo-Boer War, right? It was fought before the birth of Nelson Mandela. And what was the result of that war? What people did? All the white people came together and they erected a system of racial domination against all the black people of the land, right? So they implemented the policy of apartheid against the colored people of South Africa, right? So you must be wondering why people's is written here, right? Because people is already plural, because plural, right? So what is the meaning of what do you mean by the word people, right? So basically the word people means a group of people belonging to a particular nation. But peoples means, what does it mean? The word peoples means a group of people belonging to different communities, different religions, and different nationalities, right? That's why it has been written like that. Now, the structure they created formed the basis of one of the harshest, most inhumane societies the world has ever known. Now, the type of structure that these white people created on South African soil was one of the harshest and the most humane societies the world has ever known or witnessed, right? Because all the black people, all the colored people have been denied all kinds of rights and opportunities. They live on the margins of the society. Now, and they were also not, and also they were not considered good for anything. Now, in the last decade of the 20th century and my own eighth decade as a man, that system had been overturned forever and replaced by one that recognized the rights and freedom of all peoples, regardless of the color of their skin. But finally, this paragraph is ending on a very positive note, and Nelson Mandela is saying, now the time has changed. Now, black people have got their rights, they have got their freedom back, and on this soil of Africa or on this African soil, now nobody will be discriminated against on the basis of color and race. Next paragraph. That day had come about through the unimaginable sacrifices and thousands of my people whose suffering and courage can never be counted or repaid. So I'm stopping here, and in my next video, I'm going to cover the rest of the story. Thank you.